Hi good people, my name is Novelin Churabo and welcome once again to another learning moment and money motivation. And today I want to share with us about a very interesting topic, and the title of my topic is Tame Your Appetite. Now before you shut down and say no, I don't have a food problem, I don't have an appetite problem, or I possibly don't even have a weight problem, I'm not talking about food. I'm talking about untameable appetites that are not necessarily food related. We all have untameable appetites. They are things that you simply find irresistible. It could be the joy of starting new projects, the joy of acquiring new knowledge, the joy of enrolling for a new program, the joy of changing environments, going to new places. We have those things where literally, probably, you have had your friends tell you, you have got to stop. But you just don't know how to stop because it makes you happy, it probably gives you a high sense of fulfillment, and so you kind of just keep going and going and going. And so I'd like to use the analogy of food. Possibly you've been in a situation where the food is really nice. Your mouth wants to continue eating, but you know that your stomach is full. Beyond a certain point, you know that if you keep eating, you're either going to fall sick or feel very uncomfortable or something is going to happen. Now, as much as your mouth still wants to eat, at that point, you have got to put a comma, a stop to your eating. Let's bring that to untameable appetite. I belong to a group of people that are always excited about starting new things. New projects, new initiatives, new ideas excite me. Now, the excitement I have at the start of a project is not the same excitement I have somewhere in the middle or even towards the end of the project. So I found myself in a cycle of consistently starting new things and dropping them, starting new things and dropping them, because I hadn't built a system. I hadn't built a team of implementers who would pick up those ideas and run with them. The other group that I belong to of untameable appetites is people that love knowledge. I am a hoarder for knowledge. I love to collect knowledge. I love to read about stuff. I collect all kinds of quotes. I collect all kinds of books. I collect all kinds of information. And I would tell myself, I'll need it, I'll need it, and I'll need it. And then it came to a point where my laptop was literally full. And so a friend was analyzing my laptop and said, do you ever use all these folders and all these files? And I realized that some folders had not been touched in a very, very long time. So at that point, I had to remind myself that information is always evolving. But more importantly, information is now open source. If I need something, I can find it. So I don't need to constantly keep all this stuff on my computer. It's been a tough lesson. Last year, I had a conversation with a friend of mine. I was working on a curriculum. I love content developing. I love curriculum developing. So I've been working on this curriculum for a while, and it had reached a point where it was literally standardized. But I felt like I needed to add something, tweak something, change something. And this is something I've been doing all the time and hoping that the trainers would keep pace with me. I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and just tells me, Noveline, you have to stop. Up till that point, I'd never realized my untameable appetite for developing content. And so I realized it had reached the best level that it could. It was working well and there was no point in changing it. And so translating that very ideology to the other untameable appetites in my life has been very helpful. So in being able to tame your appetite, the first and most crucial thing you need to do is identify your untameable appetite. What are those things that you simply can't say no to? What are those things where you literally have to exercise a lot of self-control for you to keep yourself from continuously going into that direction? Now, when I talk about untameable appetites, these are not negative things. They could be very positive things. They could be studying, taking courses, but you realize that you're continuously enrolling for programs, and the question is, to what end? Oftentimes, that's a question we never answer. So if the end is not justified by the means, then you might want to stop and evaluate whether that is exactly what you need to do. So number one, identify your untameable appetites. And then number two is evaluate where you are on the journey. Are you in the early stages of, hoarding whatever it is you like to hoard, or, being greedy about whatever it is you're greedy about, and not in a negative sense anyway. And so being able to evaluate where am I in my journey, in my career, in my path, in my personal development. Because sometimes the things that you used to do maybe 5 or 10 years ago are not things you need to be doing now. But because it's a pattern and a habit, you have been running for a long time, you just don't know when to stop. So evaluate where you are in your life. Where do you want to go? And the third step in evaluate, after you evaluate, is to identify what's the most important thing in your life at the moment. Life is all about times and seasons. Seasons come and seasons change. And as that happens, we also change, we evolve. And every season has its own needs. Every season has its own demand. So evaluating in the season of my life, in the phase of my life where I'm at, what's the most important thing? And to evaluate whether your untameable appetite fits into what's the most important thing at the moment. That will help you to clarify, to stop patterns, to stop habits, to just stop going through the autopilot mode and being able to realize that everything you do at the moment is very important in helping you achieve your goals, in helping you actualize the things that are very important for you at the moment. The fourth stage is being able to evaluate your needs. Now, it's interesting that for many of us, we do not have a very clear understanding between our needs and our wants. I've been in workshops where we basically argue for hours, where adults are still arguing about certain things, whether this is a need or a want. I'll leave that to another day. But for you as a person, you need to know what are your needs and what are your wants. And then being able to look at the thing, your untameable appetite, and find out, does it feed into a need or a want? And just in case it feeds into a need, you then need to evaluate, does the need match the resources available? So for example, you maybe you want to study, just keep wanting to enroll for another course. The question is, do you have the financial ability to fund for it at the moment? Or you just want to live a certain life and it makes you happy and it fulfills you. That's okay. The question is, do you have the means, the resources to be able to meet the growing need and to meet that demand? So that's where you begin to evaluate, maybe I like this thing, but in this time and season, it's not the best investment of my time. It's not the best investment of my resources. So looking at resources is not just about money. It could be a resource in terms of your time, your money, and your energy. How does that fit into your most pressing needs? The investment, time, and energy you're putting into this untameable appetite, if it's taking away from the most important things in your life, if it's taking away from your needs, then you need to tame that appetite and probably put an end to it if necessary. And once that is evaluated, once you are clear about, okay, this thing is important, it's part of my needs, then develop a plan of action. I hear a lot of people talk about things like, I plan, I intend, I hope. All that doesn't get you any results. More than just planning, you need to have an implementation plan. So this is the plan. This is how I'm going to go about it. Break it down. Put a structure to it. Put steps to it. Put milestones, a trackable timeline, and then define the starting time. For you to be able to implement anything, you need to put a time for it to start. And so having an implementation plan, what are you going to do, when, how much will it cost you, who can help you, put a framework around these things, whether it's going to be stopping, whether it's going to be starting something new, whether it's going to be reducing the way you are consuming or taking in certain things. And then lastly, one powerful thing that I found to be very helpful in taming appetite is being accountable. Like I said, we have those things where you feel very comfortable about it that you don't even want to talk about it. Like you're always buying books but you don't read them. I graduated from that phase. You're always buying books but you don't read them. And so when people come to your house and they ask you about the books, you don't even want to talk about the books. It's more like, don't go there. Or you're always enrolling for certain things but not applying them to your life. And so when people ask you, what about that? You don't want to talk about it. So one way of breaking that shell is getting accountable. Find people that can hold you accountable. If you don't have the people, I like to journal. Not your growth process. Journal, reflect, and hold yourself accountable to see, am I making progress or not? Track yourself. Get your calendar and track out if it's something you're supposed to do every day. Track yourself until you're able to actualize whatever it is. Like I said, taming your appetite takes a lot of discipline. It's not a one-time event. It's going to be a process. You're going to have to work at it. You're going to have a plan for how you're going to tame this appetite. Whether it's shopping, whatever it is, you can tame your appetite. You need to focus on the most important things. You need to focus on your needs as a priority. You need to maximize your resources, your time, your money, and energy to focus on the things that give you the highest return of investment in this particular time and season of your life. So think about your untameable appetite and how you can turn around that very energy to work in favor of your goals, your aspirations, and your dreams. My name is Noel Chirabo. Have a blessed day and a blessed week, and I'm happy to keep the conversations going online. Catch you next time.